What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another action-packed week of building the Battle of Jabiim in Lego. This week I am going to be focusing on the main base. No rock work, nothing else, just good old Lego Star Wars clone base action. I'm going to be throwing in the floor, computers, trying to figure out what accessories I want in there, as well as starting on the second story. If you guys are excited to see this base come together, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button. And if you're new to the channel watching for the first time, consider subscribing and tapping that bell so you'll be notified as soon as the next video drops. This week I'm going to start out by continuing on this main building. I don't remember how much you guys saw last week, but I don't know if it was finished. Anyways, I have a combination of tile and plate up here with one stud at each of the corners, and this is because the roof of this building is going to be removable because I want to be able to have like a cool little interior that you guys can see, and then up above that we'll have a second story that's a little bit smaller and then the roof on top of that. But I figured with just one stud on each corner it'd be easy to take it on and off without it sliding around and too much. For the inside of the base, I'm just going to put like some random computers, data pads, hologram tables, just your typical base stuff. I'm not going to have anything too complicated because I'm pretty sure, the clone troopers didn't build this building. They came here and occupied it, so everything that they're going to have in here is going to be fairly temporary and fairly easy to take down and set up. And then I'm going to do like some designs on the floor, maybe put some vents or drains with some tile. Before I get into that, I want to show you guys some modifications I made to the wall. So you can see I clumped up the masonry bricks more, and I think this looks better. I had them too spaced out, and I did the same thing on the front. I even removed some. I realized I don't need to be using, them everywhere. They're just to represent points where they're just to represent sections where the plaster had been scraped off the walls or something, or some kind of brick was exposed. So I've got them a little bit more clumped up. I'm still not 100% satisfied with this look, but I do think it's better. And I will have a second story to practice again some more, and hopefully up here will look even better. Thank you guys for the feedback on the masonry bricks. It sounded like we were all kind of thinking the same thing. Turns out this was a pretty tough spot to get a good time lapse for you guys, so we'll see how much of this build I'm actually able to show you. But I'm going to be laying down the floor of the base using a combination of plates and tiles. This is a pretty small room and is not part of the focus of the mock, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time and energy here, but I would still like to create something nice to look at, plus this is going to be good practice for Coruscant. So this is what I have done so far. You can see there is the grate right there running through the center of the mock with light bluish gray tile running around it. I put this grate in because for a couple of reasons. The first, I thought it'd be a cool idea to have like this grate or vent in the floor to kind of help clean up the dust and dirt that gets blown in and tracked in as clones come in, to kind of help, keep this base relatively clean. And second is because it helps break up the floor and add a nice design to make the floor a little bit more interesting, because I'm just doing tile, There wasn't going to be a whole lot of variation here, but I felt like that would be an easy way to use some pieces I haven't used in a little while and help add some detail to this interior. On this back wall, I've started working on the computers, so I've got a little screen there, just some other random computers, a little transmitting satellite. I don't have a whole lot yet, and I don't know how many I'm going to include, but over here, I had the idea to do like a little armory or weapons rack, so we're going to have a bunch of these long rifles here connected into these clips, and then I'll build it up around here. I wanted to make it look like some kind of portable cabinet that could house weapons. I'm not sure what to do on this other side yet. That's why I left it blank. I'm thinking maybe more computers, but we'll have to see. I would also like to see if I can fit my holo table in here that I used in my second Battle of Geonosis mock. One problem I did run into is actually over here on this side. When building this door, I had no plans to have it open or close or anything. I just needed, a door to cover up the entryway in the front. And I wasn't really thinking about an interior as I was doing this, so it's actually just held in place by that bracket piece in the floor right there. But when you come to the inside of the base and look at it from behind, it looks kind of weird. It's like, why? Like, obviously this isn't practical. Like, you know, the door can't be held by a bracket on the floor. So I'm going to have to figure out something there, maybe change it or hide it. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. Now that I have a good idea of what the interior will look like, it's time to start on the second level. I'm going to start by plating it all out. The black bricks are just going to be temporary. Those are in place to help keep all these different plates hooked together. And once the walls are built, I'll take them out. I'm thinking of throwing a few bunks and some random stuff on this level as an off-duty area for the clones. Maybe throw in some fun Easter eggs like a TV or a refrigerator or something. This area is going to be a little bit more complicated, however, because the second story is smaller than the bottom story, but I'll get into that after this. All right, progress check. So I got these plates down, the first floor roof or second story floor, and I'm now working on the exterior part. So if you look closely at this building in shelter base, you can see the second story is a little bit smaller than the first story, and there's this small slanted roof that runs around the entire exterior of the building. It's really hard to see because it's the same color, but if you can see, you know, it's got a little bit of a slant. It's pretty small, but it's there. And so I'm trying to recreate that right now. I'm going to have the wall of the second story be in about 2 studs. And so this part, you know, will be a little bit smaller. But the tough part is figuring out how to create this little roof that's going to go around the outside. That's going to wrap around the outside. So I had been thinking about using these panels with a wedge plate on each end and kind of, you know, bringing the 2 wedge plates together like that. But that leaves an ugly little gap here at the corner of exposed interior. So I thought about maybe, you know, scooting this one forward, scooting this front panel forward, and so that it rests on the side panel. Sorry, this is kind of hard with one hand. But when that happens, if I were to line them up like this so they fit snugly here, there's going to be a little gap between this plate, between this panel and the wall. So either way I look at it, there's going to be some gaps. I just kind of have to figure out which one looks worse. I thought about maybe putting something on the interior, in the interior right there, maybe like some studs or cheese slopes to kind of hide that gap. How these panels work as of right now is there's going to be a 1x plate holding on the inside of the panel, and that's going to fit inside of this bracket piece. Basically, so that way once this plate goes on, it'll lean against this wall right here, but the little bracket piece will keep it from sliding off. This may be subject to change if I find some other technique that'll allow me to close those gaps. I did try using one of these bricks. It didn't really work. You know, these were either pushed out, these panels ended up too far out or too far in like that. Another thing I thought about using was just actual slopes, just 2x3 slopes, and running them across the entire way. Problem with that is, once again, the corners. They don't make corner slopes in dark tan, so still have these ugly corner sections. So I'm going to try and make something work with these wedge plates because they seem like my best bet for getting 2 panels to fit at an angle right here on the corner. As for the interior of the base, I got this armory or weapon rack all finished. You can see I've got my blasters lined up nicely. They look so cool like this. As soon as I finish this, I decided I'm going to have to include this or some of these in my Coruscant mock, and I'm even thinking about turning one of the buildings that I'm going to have into a full-blown armory. I tried to keep the design pretty simple. I went with a light bluish gray base with some dark bluish gray highlights on the top and on this little lip right here. The only thing I'm not satisfied with completely is the height here. You can see there's no gap between the stock of the gun and the bottom here, but there is a gap up here. Let me know what you guys think about that down below in the comments. So this is the last update for the week. Not a whole lot of progress was made, but the progress that was made was really good. I'm glad to have the interior of the base figured out. I'm already started on the second floor, and I'm glad to, you know, finally have started building this section because I'd been thinking about it for a while, And so now that I have this problem in my head, I should be able to figure something out, as the days go by and I think about it. That being said, that wraps up this episode. Time to hit the outro. Unfortunately, this week was short. I did not get nearly as much progress done as I would have liked. At least I got something done. If you guys have any ideas of what I should put in the main building, let me know down below in the comments, and I will catch you guys next time. But until then, happy building.